case you're not here. Yeah, about that.
I'm at my new job. I'm going to call you back.
You're gonna wanna send somebody to my house and get the truck, have them clean it out, it's a little rough.
So we don't have to have a quorum for this?
Landlocked committee, so we
They
can vote
wanna
on anything.
give these two a few more minutes or start?
Start. I said go ahead. Paul said didn't Paul say he'd be late if he didn't make it?
Yeah, I don't think he was out of town.
Yeah.
Do we need to turn mics on or no?
Yeah.
Yeah, so. Hear it on the video.
Okay, I'm gonna call this meeting to order of the ad hoc committee. And on the agenda tonight, we have discussion of poll questions. Parks and Rec Director Chase Clenham.
All right, I looked at different community center polls, just did a quick Google search and saw the input that other people, that other community centers in different places were using. So we put all that together into this one, and I think it fits ours pretty well. It's 10 or 12 questions. We can just go down the list real quick, and this hasn't published yet, but it's ready to be published as soon as we get the okay. Number one, do you believe there's a need for a new community center? Yes or no? Number two, if you would like to be involved in the development of the new community center, give us your name and contact information. That way we can notify you when these meetings are. Number three, what benefits do you think a new community center would make to the community and the surrounding areas? Do you currently use the community center? If you do use a community center, please mark what applies. So in that, you'll have the option to click multiple things. You won't just have to click one. Question number 6 looks like a lot, but it's not. On the poll, it's a big square graph where you check what applies, whether it's yourself or a family member. And it says if this new community center provided the following, would you yourself use them or a family member? So it looks like a lot on this, but it's not once you see it on the computer. And you can check multiple boxes on that. Question number 7, would you like to see the community center provide the following? And it gives multiple options, and you click as many of them as you want. Number 8, what kind of children's programs would you like to see, if any, in a community center? Tutoring, reading, art, any kind of after-school program that we might be able to provide, have somebody come in and provide those services. Number 9, please mark the top 3 indoor recreation spaces most needed in the community. So this is one of the, I think, the more important questions. What do you want the community center to look like? So list us your top 3, whether you want an indoor pool, you want it to be used more for meeting rooms, do you want a weight room, do you want a basketball or a volleyball court? I think that question is going to help out a lot in shaping the community center whenever that time comes. Question number 10, would you support a tax increase to assist funding this project? Yes, no, or only a slight increase. So we wanted people to be able to say that they were okay with a little increase or they weren't okay with any at all. So that's why we put that option in there. Do you live inside the city limits of Kingston? And finally, if a new community center was built, would you be in favor of utilizing the old community center as a senior center? Those are 12 pretty simple questions that we've put together, but I think they'll go a long way once we post it on Facebook and other social media outlets. I think we'll get a good response from people.
Anybody have any questions about that?
The only thing I thought of course, I think you did a good job. I think they're good questions, covers everything. The only thing I might do, if the format allows it, maybe put a comment box at the end, just so if somebody had other comments that maybe one of the questions weren't covered or something.
Okay.
So I think
we can add that.
Other than that, looks good to me. I think I'm anxious to see the responses we get.
Any idea when that's gonna get posted?
We could post it
Tomorrow.
as soon as tomorrow. So we'll add that in the morning, and it'll be up by 9 or 10 o'clock.
But it's gonna be on the city's Facebook page or Park and Rec or both?
All
or-
both of them. We'll post it,
Ask people to share it too.
share it. We'll put it on forums on Facebook and our personal pages, and it'll spread pretty quick.
And when you do these things, of course, we did one a couple years ago for curbside recycling. I mean, you got to take into account some people are going to fill it out that don't live in the city, and so, I mean, it's not scientific, but not a scientific poll, but it'll give us a good idea, I think, of where people's mindsets are. So.
Yeah, we don't wanna put it on happening in Rome County.
Or do we?
Everybody except people in Kingston will comment on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, next item is the big one, funding, discussion of funding, City Manager David Bowles.
So you have two handouts for me, and I'll kind of go through them. I put this together, and I based this. Of course, everything on here, they're all estimates, but I based this on a $10 million loan. And again, not knowing what it's going to cost to build something, what it's going to cost to acquire land, just wanted to throw a what I felt like was a pretty realistic number out there, and a number that would be easy to work with. Again, it could be up, could be down, with the price of building things these days and the price of land in Rome County. I don't think 10 million is that unrealistic. You could spend a lot more than that, obviously, if you wanted to, but we went with that. When I was doing it, I wanted to look at two kind of components of this. One being the cost of acquiring the land, of building the building, kind of the one-time upfront costs, and then also the part that doesn't get talked about as much is what would be the reoccurring costs after we get it open. And the big four that I estimated here is additional manpower, which would be salaries and benefits, that sort of thing, maintenance, utilities, and then just some miscellaneous expenses. And this is by no means an exclusive list. There could be more than that. But again, kind of just for a 10,000-foot overview, what would some of the reoccurring costs be? And in looking at this, I know we've talked about there may be a grant here or there we could get a little money out of, maybe do some fundraising, different things, but I base this just on worst case scenario. We go out, we borrow the money, we build it, which could easily happen. Especially if we think if we get grants or something like that, you're probably not talking that big of a chunk of money in the grand scheme of things. But look at it. I think a 30-year note on something like this would be realistic. Obviously, this facility could have that kind of a lifespan and probably then some. And right now, I think rates are low. I estimated 2.5%. It may be that we could get it lower than that. I know that Harriman Utility Board just got a loan at 1.5% for $10 million. So, that would obviously drive it down. I think that's one advantage to looking at this right now, is we are in a low rate situation. You could look at this 3 or 4 years from now, and we could be 7, 8, 9%. So you just don't know. But I factored it at 2.5%, and I'm pretty confident that we could get that kind of rate at least. So basically, assuming again that we're fronting the cost of this, we've got to look at the debt service, and 2.5% of $10 million for 30 years. The debt service on that would be $474,144. The tax increase, so right now a penny R tax rate is $15,649. So to cover the debt service, it would be just a shade over 30 cents, a 30-cent tax increase. To add on the budget impacts, the reoccurring costs, then you're looking at another 16, almost 17 cents on top of that, for a total tax increase of just over 47 cents. I did break that down in the colored sheet there, showing what the annual increase on a $250,000 house, the annual increase on that would be $295.20, which would be just under $25 a month. So, yeah, it is significant, but it's a significant investment. Now, again, there could be if the timing was right, there could be a grant. You're probably looking, you probably get an LPRF grant for something like this. You're looking at $500,000 with a 50% match. So, again, not going to make a huge difference in that number. I know in looking at a lot of communities that do these sorts of projects, unless it's just a really, really poor community that can get a ton of federal money, the consensus is pretty much we borrowed the money and we paid for it, paid for it ourselves. So, it is something like this is a big investment. It's probably the biggest investment, we could make in this city. I don't think would ever be anything that those of us who are here now will ever do that would be on this scale. But it is, it would take a significant tax increase to do it. Now, one thing that could bring this number down, and again, I don't think it will apply, and I didn't include it on here. We do have a couple of big, about $2 million worth of loans that are coming off the books within the next 3 or 4 years. But I left those out because I have a feeling that money will be reabsorbed into other things. And so again, I didn't factor that. But you're looking at a big chunk of money. But some people could look at this at less than $1 a day. You get a new community center. So I think there's two sides to that. Again, that's a big question for other people to decide, but that's what I think the most straightforward explanation of how to fund this. And I'm glad we're having this conversation on the front end, and I hope when this ultimately gets to council that conversation happens first, because I know that's always killed it before. Everybody gets their hopes up, gets big dreams, and they're shopping around and all this stuff, and then how are we going to pay for it? So, it's just a question really of, is this something that council thinks is worthy of a 47-cent tax increase? And
I think what more importantly is what the citizens
Oh,
think
yeah.
about it. Which brings me back to another question. I know we're going to do this survey online, but a lot of people don't go online, especially older people. They're not really Facebook surfers. Is there any way, or how feasible would it be, or is it even possible, or would it be too costly to put any kind of a survey sheet like in people's water bills
we could
in
probably
city
put
customers?
a one-page.
I can something more condensed than this
Yeah.
survey.
Yeah.
Just
Now I'm
maybe-
hoping, of course, it's up to
Specifically about the tax
Yeah.
increase, would you support the tax increase? Not the whole thing of would you use it, this and that, but, would you be in favor of it? Would you support a tax increase? Do you feel, that
yeah.
it would be?
Well, my hope would be that, and again, it's not up to me, it'd be up to the board, that maybe at the conclusion of this process, we have a public meeting where we share what we find with the public, with council, and, hopefully at that point, a lot of people would show up and participate in that. It was one of the, and you can't do this in Tennessee, unfortunately, but, it'd be nice if you could put something like this on a ballot and let the people vote on it. When I lived in Maine, one of the things that I love so much about government up there is we would have town meeting every year, and the citizens would come in and they would vote on the budget. They would vote, if there was any tax increase, any big capital projects, they would vote on it. So there was no after the fact outrage. If the people want it, the people have a voice in it, and it's a shame that you can't put a tax increase on a ballot. Now it could be, I'm not 100% sure, it could be if we do this in the form of a bond issue, that we could put that on the ballot. Again, that wouldn't be the tax increase, but it would be a given that if the people approve the bond issue, obviously it's going to cost a tax increase to pay for it. So there could be a way that you could maybe get it on a ballot, but
that was how they did the schools, I think, back.
might have been, yeah. So that's a possibility, but I think getting it out there and you know, I would say that if it's, you know, if it's something you think you're going to use, something you see value in, you know, there would be people who support it. There'll be some people who wouldn't support it simply because they wouldn't think they would use it. Others may think they can't afford it. But I think, you know, it's a tax increase of that size would definitely be vigorously debated.
Yes.
I would believe. So.
And on the survey, is there a place that the person can put their name and their address where we can see if they truly are in the city, or is there no way to do that?
I mean,
we could add.
You could
'Cause
probably
we might
put
get a lot of opinions from people that,
yeah.
you know,
I mean,
don't even live in Kingston.
you could probably put a box where
Mhm.
you know put you know if somebody's willing to put their
Yeah,
name and
list that's your
address.
name and
Or even,
address.
or even their address if they don't want
Or
to.
you could even simply just, do you live inside the city, yes or no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have that.
one's on there.
That one's on there.
The honor, I mean, the honor, you're in the infancy of this right now. You're
Yeah.
just trying to get a
We can add that.
more particular as we go,
Yeah.
like what you're saying.
Yeah.
Right now, you just hope they fill it out.
Yeah, I guess I'm just a little
In-
concerned about getting an accurate
Yeah.
reading.
Yeah. Like I
just from
said,
being
it's
on
it's not
Facebook.
going to be scientific at all, and you'll probably have people, you know. I mean, you may have somebody from New Jersey stumble across it and fill it out. I
Oh,
mean, there's
yeah,
just no
yeah.
way of knowing. But you know, one thing we could do if we didn't want to be so blatant and maybe get people, I don't want to say sucker them into putting their name and address, but maybe you put something at the end saying, you know, would you like to be contacted about future meetings, or you know, if there's a public, I don't know.
They're gonna say no. You know how that works.
Yeah.
They're staunchly against it, but
So,
you don't see
yeah,
people
we
at the
won't go.
meetings very often.
So it, you know, and again, I hope that you know, at the end of this process, you know, we can have a public meeting that people will actually come out to, and
Well, if the word gets out there, you know, that it's being discussed and it would require a significant tax increase, then
mhm.
you could probably fill the room.
Yeah. And you know, I'd love to do, and I've been involved in some other projects where we did this. You know, if it got to that point, you know, get an architect or somebody to do a really nice rendering. You
Mhm.
know, that you could set up so people could see it
see.
and kind of get their mind around what you're talking about. And I think that helps sell it. But you know, the thing is, when you do something like this, and you guys have all seen this, the people that are against it are going to show up and scream to the top of their voice. People for it won't come out.
Yep.
And that's what you need. You need the people, not just the ones who are against the tax increase, the people who want this, who see the value in it. Those are the ones you need to get to come to the meeting and voice their support, so the 7 people sitting around this table don't feel like they're on an island by themselves, you know?
Right.
So. But anyway, I hope this made sense. I mean, these are just 2 simple spreadsheets, but, you know, the numbers are, the math's easy enough, and again, the price could go up, it could go down, but I think that if you're going to build anything other than just an indoor gym, I think 10 million is not a crazy number. So.
Okay, anybody got any more questions about that right now? Okay, selection of topic for June meeting. So, Paul's not here, but do you think he may be ready to discuss what he's found out as far as possible locations yet?
We could.
Has anybody talked to him?
I would think. I mean, you
I
know,
think
there's
that
only
would
so
come next.
many.
Mhm.
There's only so many applicable pieces of land in the city, so I would think he could come up with something between now and then. So.
So since he's not here, we can just
That's
assign
it.
that
That's
to
what
him.
we're doing.
Volunteering,
That's what you get
so.
for missing a meeting.
I'll let him know.
Okay, you're gonna let him know. All right. Anybody got anything else?
I don't think so. I think I think hopefully this is helpful, that we're kind of hitting one step at a time and not just, you know, talking all in circles and trying to figure out. It'd be nice if we had a full house. It'd be nice if the press would have been here, but you know.
Speaking of the
Yes.
press, has anyone heard any comments from the last one being in the Roane County News?
Only thing I heard was I got a call from a property owner the day after that article came out, wanting to sell his property. So,
Wanting to sell his property?
Yeah, for community center.
Oh.
So
At a discount rate?
3 million.
Oh.
So
Well, and I got one from a major taxpayer saying we don't need a new community center, we're taxed to death, so.
they'll be all
There you
across
go.
the board.
It'll
I
be all over
guarantee
the
it.
place, yeah. All over the
How long
place.
do you wanna run this survey?
At least a month, maybe 3 weeks, something like that.
All right, anybody got anything else?
I got it.
All right, meeting adjourned.